Good morning, everyone. Today, Tracy and I are going to cover landing pages and squeeze pages in kvCORE. Just to give you a little bit of information before we cover both of these are lead generation pages. These are pages you can create to exist on your kvCORE website. Specifically pages that are capturing a consumer's information so that they can be fed into your kvCORE account as a lead. There are two different kinds that we're going to cover today. Those are landing pages and squeeze pages. So a landing page is just a basic page that's going to prompt a visitor to sign up for something that you're going to give them in return. For example, if you have a buyer's guide or a seller's guide, you could easily create a landing page that asks the consumer to put their email and or phone number in order to access your buyer's guide. And then once they do, that information will be captured by the kvCORE system and they'll land in your account as a lead. A squeeze page is a little bit different. A squeeze page is a page where you're creating kind of a single property or multi-property page. Example, if you want to lead somebody to a page, saying, hey, do you want to look at more listings within a certain area or a neighborhood or something like that? Click here. And it will bring up that squeeze page. And then you can set the squeeze page to a certain number of listing views or something that the consumer can look at. So they can look at one or two pages or one or two listings, and then they'll be prompted to sign up or, give their email so that they can be picked up by the system as a lead in your kvCORE account. So I'm going to start with landing pages. These are pretty basic and they're kind of templated, but I'll show you they're easy to create. I'm going to go into kvCORE. So I'm guessing everybody knows how to log into kvCORE, but I guess I could cover it one more time. But you need to log into Max Center. And everybody has a login to Max Center at remax.net. You're going to use your remax.net email address and whatever password you created for Max Center. And log into Max Center, and then you can access the kvCORE platform by hitting that platform MaxTech powered by kvCORE app tile there. And so it'll bring you over to the kvCORE system. So I'm going to go into all lead engine tools here. So you'll see there are quick links below here to build a squeeze page or build a landing page. If you're going to build one of those just within your individual agent account, you can use those quick links, but I'm going to go into all lead engine tools. There are tiles here for each of those things as well. But if you are a team admin, you have the ability to create a landing page or a squeeze page on either your team website or your individual agent website. So the way to do that, to choose either or, is to go into those all lead engine tools section. And then you'll see here for landing page, on this tile, I am required to put in the remax.com agent domain that I'm using to create this landing page. And so I'm just going to use Tracy's. So team admins, if you wanted to create one of these on your team website, then you would select your team kvCORE website URL in that right there. And then you just hit the start building button down below, and it'll bring you over to the landing page. So this is just a basic page here with some options across the top. I'm just going to kind of go through all of the options starting from left to right. But this is a basic page. They all look like this, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it, but I'm going to show you all the things that you can edit here. So on the left here, you'll see you can switch between a light or a dark background. And depending on what photo that you used, you are going to be able to change out the photo in the background there. You can select the light or dark, whatever works for that photo. But this first drop down on the top left gives you an option. There's several different landing page options. So this first one, this lead generation, is this default lead landing page that it goes to. And this is probably the one that you are going to use the most. Basically, you can just add a little bit of information about what it is that you are offering. And then down below, somebody can enter their email address. And you'll see right now, cell phone is marked optional, but there is an option at the top here where it says require phone. If you click that, then the phone number is no longer optional. It's going to ask that the consumer puts their email and their cell phone in there before they click the button to, get whatever it is that you're offering, whether it's a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, or whatever. But I would suggest maybe not requiring phone because, you might limit the number of folks who are willing to give up that kind of information, both an email and a phone number, in order to get whatever it is that you're offering. All right, so that's the lead generation type of landing page. There's another one here that's video view. This is a page that has a video on here. This one is probably not very useful because basically all you're doing is showing the video content, and you'll see somebody can click right away to the button to see whatever it is that you're offering. They don't have to put in any kind of information. It's not asking for their email or phone number. So this one isn't that handy, but there is another one that is video plus lead generation. So that one would be better if you're going to use a video, because then down below it does have that email and phone number capture information so that you're actually capturing the consumer's information before they click to get, whatever it is that you're offering here. So this video page, you can add a video to the middle of the page there. It's a little bit different. You're not necessarily using the YouTube link to get that video in there. It says you need to insert your YouTube video ID. And so the video that is showing right here is going to give you instructions on how to find that video ID. And basically it's kind of the tail end of the YouTube video URL, but it'll show you how to get that ID. That's what you're using to put a video in here. The next type is content hijack. So this page is a little bit different, and I'm sure you guys have come across this before, but content hijack is kind of a marketing tactic where you offer something that somebody might want, but then when they click on it, you offer them something else instead. But then you give them the option to go back and say, no, get me what I wanted in the first place. I often see this when you unsubscribe from something. You want to unsubscribe from a subscription. You click the unsubscribe button, and then it takes you to a place that says, no, wait, what if we offer you this instead? You want to do that? Then you're like, wait a minute, why did you send me here? But then there's always an option to, no, I want to unsubscribe anyway. So that's kind of what this content hijack is. So maybe if you're trying to capture folks who want your buyer's guide, you could bring them to this page, but instead say, wait, are you looking to buy? Perhaps you have a property to sell as well. Here's a link to my seller's guide. So they have the option to download the seller's guide, or no thanks, take me to, the buyer's guide instead. So you could do something like that too. You'll just end up with two options at the bottom here that the consumer could select from. So that's the content hijack. And then there's another lead generation landing page here that's a text lead. So this is using that smart number within kvCORE. You can create a text code, and then when the consumer hits this button, it launches a text message kind of compose box with your smart number in it where they can text that code. And then the last option, oops, nope, there's two more. Here's an address capture. This one just captures the property address. This is pretty much exactly the same as the AVM page that already exists on your kvCORE website. So you have that on your website where somebody could go put their address in, to see what their home is worth. This kind of operates the exact same way. So you might as well use the one on your website. I'm not sure that you use this one that much. And then the last option is a Facebook chat. So this one lets the consumer chat with you using Facebook Messenger. So you would just obviously connect your Facebook business page account here. And if you're that kind of person that uses Facebook Messenger a lot of the times to connect or communicate with folks, then this would be a good option for you too if you want to chat with people on Messenger. So those are all the different kinds of landing pages. I'm just going to go through real quick how you would use that basic lead generation page. Once you select the type of page that you're going to use, all of the options, the things that you can change are across the top here. This first one is hashtag. You can use a hashtag. It's a good idea. We would suggest you use a hashtag when you're setting up one of these landing pages, because every lead that is generated with this landing page will then get tagged with that hashtag. And it would be handy for you to be able to sort those folks later or find them when you see that hashtag. It'll immediately trigger in your mind that, oh, that person came from that landing page. It'll be really helpful to see that later when these leads come in. When you're creating the hashtag, make it something that's going to make sense to you. If you're creating this landing page for folks who want to download your buyer's guide, maybe call the hashtag landing buyer's guide or something like that, so that you know that these folks came from that buyer's guide landing page, and you can see that later and you'll know exactly where that lead came from. So just remember that for hashtags, there can't be any spaces in there. It has to be, one string. It can be several words. You can capitalize each word or whatever. I think you can use an underscore and a dash, but no other symbols or anything like that. And again, no spaces. But we recommend that you do use a hashtag when creating these. And then that submit button text is the next field here. So that's the text that would show up on that orange button that somebody would click after they entered their information. So for your buyer's guide, how would you have somebody click through to your buyer's guide? There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You could just upload it to a Google Drive and use the link to the buyer's guide on Google Drive or that folder. That's something Tracy is going to show you maybe at the end if we have time. She's had several agents do it that way. You could upload, if your buyer's guide is a PDF and you subscribe to kind of a PDF flipbook app or site and you have it uploaded there, you could use that link, so that it's in a flipbook kind of option. Anyway, you have to provide a link to your buyer's guide where somebody could go and access it once they fill out their information. And then again, there's that require phone button if you want to require that people put their phone number in as well. And then you do have some options for background images. There are some default images in here that you could choose to change the background image. And then at the bottom, if you are featuring a property, you could choose from the MLS images. So this would require that you put in that MLS ID, and then you could opt to choose to pull in images from the MLS there. And then this other option here is a custom background image. So if I click on that, basically it's going to ask me for the image URL. So this does require that you upload that image somewhere else and then use the URL from that upload and put the URL in here in order to have that image come through. One of the things that you could do, and this is one of the things that we could also show you as well, is that you could upload an image into your kvCORE blog in your kvCORE website. You could start a blog article, use that image icon to upload an image, and then when you upload an image into a blog article, it gives you a link. It'll give you the image link. You can just copy that image link once it's uploaded. And then you can just cancel the blog article. You don't necessarily have to go through and create an article or anything. You can just hit cancel, but that image will still work. And you can use the image URL and put it in here. So that's one way to get your own image in there if you wanted to use your own background image. This last option here is lead type. So what kind of leads are you capturing here? If it's for your buyer's guide, obviously these leads are going to be buyers, right? So you have the option to tag these folks as buyers, sellers, vendor, whatever. That's going to be another status or label that they're going to have when they come in as leads into your kvCORE account. All right, so once you get all those options set at the top, you'll see down here, you can edit the text. So there's basically a title, a little subtitle here, and then a few bullet points. If you don't want to use all of this information or all of this space, you can double click on any of these and it'll disappear. So just be aware if you accidentally double click on something and it disappears, you can't do a Control-Z or anything like that to get it back. But the one thing that you can do is refresh this page and it'll refresh it and put it back to the default beginning so that if you have done other things already, like put in a hashtag or you've changed other parts of this text area, all of it is going to disappear if you refresh. So just be aware you can refresh to, get back to the beginning, but it's going to pretty much get rid of everything that you've done so far. So again, it is kind of templated. There's not a whole lot else you can do with these pages. But once you get everything set and you hit save, it's going to give you a little warning. Careful, do you really want to do this? If you save it, you're not going to be able to go back and edit it. That's fine. Just hit OK. But yes, that is one of the bad things about these pages is that you can't go back and edit them. So you got to make sure you do what it is that you want to do the first time. So I am not going to hit save just so we don't have so many different test pages on Tracy's site. But you can go in and see any past landing pages that you've created. So you'll see, again, I have Tracy's remax.com URL in here in the landing page. And this other option here is to see past landing pages. If I go in here, it's going to show me past landing pages that have been created on Tracy's URL there. And you'll see it's going to tell you, okay, what type of landing page it was, maybe what the hashtag was that was associated with it, how many times that's been viewed. And you can view it here. So I can see any of the past pages that Tracy has created. And you'll see once you create a page, up here at the top left, there is a little social media link here. So you can use these social media links to share a page directly onto social media right there. But you'll see you can copy the link here as well if you want to use this page somewhere else. But you'll see there is no edit button. I can't go back and edit any of these pages. So just keep that in mind. Kind of remember, what you did. And usually if you do use a hashtag, you'll be able to tell where those leads came from. So here's an example of Liz Fritz, who used these landing pages on her website. She has in her navigation here, buyers and sellers, and she has landing pages for her buyer's guide and her seller's guide. So this is an example of an agent who has used these landing pages. She's trying to capture folks' information, users' information, and then they can click for her buyer's guide here. Another thing that I just wanted to mention, now you cannot edit these. As I said, you can't go back and edit them. And there's only a few things that you can do with these pages. But we did notice in the website manager that all of these pages were added to the page templates for the websites. So if you want to do a landing page and maybe want to be able to edit it a little bit more and do some more with it, you can find them all in this pages section of Website Manager. And if I scroll down here, these are all the page templates, the different pages you can create on your website. But you'll see I have a filter option here for landing and lead capture. And so all of these landing pages, here's the classic one, the content hijack. There's a different one with lead and background, the text lead. All of these can be found in here as well. And if you click on them to edit them, a little editor will launch, and you can do quite a bit more with these pages in this section if you want to do that here. So I will give it over to Tracy so Tracy can cover squeeze pages.
Yes, and just real quick, I did want to show you now, granted, doing these landing pages and things, a lot of times you may not want to put them on your website just because you want to try and capture those leads and not give them that information right offhand. But I did want to show you an example. We can actually on our websites, you can add a page. So this is just an example of the Nixon team. They have a heroes program, and what we did is we added a page in here, have some information, and then we actually have their flyer, and then when they click on it, it opens it up. So obviously that could be like an advanced class that we do, but there is that capability where we can do that. And I'm actually excited because as Shannon just showed under the website, there's different content pages. So now we have some different designs that we can use too. So we'll be playing with that, and could do a class down the road if you guys are interested that would have a little bit more advanced on how you could go in and build some of those pages. So from here, I'll go back into kvCORE and we're going to do squeeze pages. So from here, what you would do is, again, you're over here, lead engine, and you can get to it from the all lead engine tools. There's the tile, or you can just click build squeeze page, and then it brings you right to this page. And from here too, especially if you are, say, a team lead or wanted to work on a team squeeze page versus your individual agent, this is where you would go in and change your scope, and then that would apply these squeeze pages that you're going to be building. Now, again, squeeze pages, what this is doing is you are creating some criteria that might take the viewer a little bit longer to create, and I'll kind of walk you through that. And then what you're doing is you create that criteria. A lot of times you're going to do more so the multiple property squeeze page, which is what I'll show you today. And then you're going to share that, and then they can view it a couple times if you set it up, however many views, and then you would get their information. So a landing page, as Shannon had mentioned, you're asking for their information, and then in return, you're giving them something. So like the buyer's guide. And then a squeeze page, you're actually giving them a little information, and then you're asking for their information. So just a couple different ways that you can capture leads. And from here, you'll see it always usually defaults to the build tab, and you'll see there's quite a few different options of what you can do as far as building different types of squeeze pages. And like I mentioned, the multi-property is probably the most popular and the one you would use the most. We'll come back and I'll show you how to kind of build this. But these other ones, so sold multi-property, I don't really know you would use this very much, but basically, and it explains it right here, it's a page where you would have multiple sold listings. So you would go in and build this page, and then you would share that if you wanted to. Single property, again, I don't know that you would use this very much, but it's just that you would be pulling one listing in here, and then you would go and share that out. Now, keep in mind, and this was in one of our previous trainings, we did go through playbooks, and under promote your listing, what kvCORE actually does is it already creates a single property squeeze page automatically when your listing feeds into kvCORE. So again, not really something I think you would need to use, because that would be most of the time that you would be trying to promote, and you could just go under your playbook and pull it. But again, just giving you an option. Seller squeeze. From here, this one is basically what's your home worth. And there's a couple layers to this. So if you wanted to get specific on the location, so let's say city, neighborhood, you could use this, and I'll kind of show you an example. So what you would do is you would say, okay, I want to, the top, the title say, what's your home worth for, say, Windsor. So when you build that, that's what this looks like. Find out what your home, your Windsor home is worth. Now, if maybe you have a group or maybe you have a neighborhood Facebook page, that might make sense. Or you could also, each week maybe do like, okay, this week I'm going to do this city, next week I'm going to do this city. I'm going to kind of walk you through how you can share these onto your Facebook page. But in general, too, don't forget that you actually have this what's your home worth on your website. So a lot of times what might make even more sense is you take the link from your website, which is this tab, and it might say seller instead of what's your home worth. You could copy this and use this link instead. And then this one is a more general, so it's not so specific. But that's just the point with these squeeze pages. It just gives you another layer to customize, use them to, capture leads, share these on the different social media platforms or however you want to share this. So there's also the market report, and, again, kind of same thing. This market report option is on your kvCORE remax.com website on your homepage, and a lot of different tabs where they can go in and say, yes, I want to get a market report. But you could also come in here and you could create and then share. So with this market report, when somebody clicks on that link that you share, it does automatically ask them to put at least their email in, so then they can view the report. So it's not a bad thing, but just know that there's not a way to make that go away. Because again, the purpose of this is to try and capture that contact information so you can follow up with them. And kind of same thing, this on your website, they do have to put at least their email in order to be able to view what that market report is. And so then basically what they would do is, whether they put city or, neighborhood, they can put the whatever area they want. And then this report will show them, what is currently active, the average price, and recent homes and sold popular. And then it also has a little prompt, which they already kind of had initiated this, but if they hadn't, subscribe now, and then they could follow up. Because what happens with this, I should rephrase that. When somebody comes in here and they fill out that information, then it goes back into your kvCORE Smart CRM, and then you can follow up with them. So that's kind of how that gets captured. And then there's a whole nother layer that kvCORE will start doing for you, especially as these leads are engaging and you're sending things out. And if those leads start, looking and clicking and doing different things with whatever is sent on your behalf, kvCORE is going to let you know what activity is going on, and it could also start sending additional things based on the engagement of these leads that are coming in. So now we're going to go back to multi-property, and I just kind of want to walk you through, because a lot of what we're going to fill out here, or at least what you can fill out here, is also similar on some of these other tabs as well. So obviously you would just go in, and so location, and this is a lot based on your MLS. I have found for our iris, I have found that city is the best option to pick if you want to just do, like the city criteria of the location. You also can go in and do by high school. You can also go by neighborhood, but just be careful and make sure that when you click on it, that it looks like it's the right one. Sometimes I do a little trick, and I will generate the link and go look at it before I start sharing it out, just to make sure that it did fully pull what I thought it was going to pull, just because sometimes it can be very different if you pull from area and from city. So
Okay.
just be mindful of that, especially in the beginning. Just play with it a little bit, make sure that it is feeding the information in that you want. So then you just basically select once it has the location that you want. You also can go in and draw on the map if you wanted to do that as well. And then of course, listing type. So it's really up to you, how much you want to put in here. But for this example, we want to say, okay, we want to do what is just listed in Windsor, and I want to promote this on my Facebook page. So you would just go in and tell it, which of these listing types that you want, and then whatever else. I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm not going to get into all this criteria. I would just be careful with these down at the bottom where it says walk score and option. I have found sometimes less is better. If you, especially with some of these drop downs, and if you could put, your own wording into it, sometimes it messes with the filters and it doesn't work as great as you would like it to. So just be careful with that and not get too detailed because it could then affect really what pulls into here. And then over here, you're going to see page configuration. And so what this is for source. So there's some layers to this. And I highly recommend that you use this, particularly if you want to capture leads and also know what source this is coming from. So for example, I want to create this and I want to post this to try to capture leads on my Facebook page. So what you're going to do is for source, you're going to put Facebook, or you could put LinkedIn, or you could put Google. Whatever source that you are going to share this on is what you want to put in this section. Now, keep in mind too, especially if you really want to know, for instance, when you post this, you want to know that, okay, this squeeze page, when I had created it and posted on Facebook, I now know those leads are coming from Facebook versus what I have done on Google. You might create multiple squeeze pages where the criteria could be the same, but the source might be different. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's really what that source is to help you fine tune this a little bit. So when you go to share this, you know exactly where this is coming from as far as the leads when they come in. Now, hashtag, again, just like Shannon had mentioned when you were on the landing page, this is just another layer that is helpful for you. So then you know when things come in, where is it coming from? So for instance, because I did Windsor, I could do Windsor and then just listed, and then maybe you do SP. So it's a squeeze page. And it also helps when these leads come in for you to be able to sort and also follow up based on that. So it's however you want that to look. And then you would just go and you select it and it would pop that in there. Now, Facebook cover photo. This is not my favorite, and I'll explain more. I'm going to show you how to share this on your Facebook, and I'll show you what this looks like. But what is happening here, and unfortunately, you can't bypass this. If you don't pick something, it's going to do something random, and that's not what you want either. What this is when you go, it will generate, once we're done here, it'll generate two links. It'll do a direct link, which is a long link, and it'll do a short link. And so then when you go to share that, so you're going to take that link and go to Facebook and you're going to share it. What will happen is right here, you're telling it, okay, when I go to share this, when you put that link in, it's going to pull a property photo. What type of photo do you want? Do you want it to be a low priced, a high price, a random, or is it a specific listing? I would recommend as default, but again, I'm going to show you how we're going to bypass this because I like to kind of control what what that image is going to look like. What I would say is you would probably, most likely you would use high price listing from Remax Alliance, from your agency. Now see also it says even if outside search results. So again, not my favorite, because if I am doing this in Windsor and it's showing a property in Fort Collins, it's a little, not that everybody's going to know that, but it just is not the best option. So from here, you're just going to select, and you definitely want to make sure that you are at least picking one that is from our agency. Don't pick the one that is just going to be random, any listing that is in MLS, because that is not going to be compliant. So make sure that you pick your agency. And then from here, property views allowed before registration. So again, the squeeze page we're creating with a little bit of criteria. It could be obviously a lot more than just listed. It could be a neighborhood. It could be maybe price reduced homes. There's a lot of different layers of different ways that you could use this squeeze page. What you're saying here is, okay, I want whoever is viewing to see two properties, and then after that, they have to give me their information. I would leave it on the default. You want to at least capture them and have them look a little bit. If you go anywhere further than that, then it's kind of, what is the point of creating the squeeze page? Because you're not really capturing that lead the way you should. So it does give you the option, but I would keep it at the two as the default. And then I'm not going to generate this link, but when you hit generate, like I said, it's then going to give you a long link and a short link. And then it's got this little clipboard, so then you can copy and then go use that. So I want to show you what the squeeze page looks like. So this one I had built a while ago, and you can even see over here what the criteria is. So I did Windsor High School, and I was just focusing on single family. So from here, it shows all the properties, and then they also can go in and navigate. Whoever is viewing this can also go in and change the filters based on what they want to see. And if they look at more, or if they want to, sign up on my website and then go in and add favorites, that's a whole nother layer of what they can do too. And ideally, that's what you would like them to do. But at least if they come in here, they can look at a couple properties, and then hopefully from there, you can capture their information. And like I mentioned before, so you can already see even here, it says, hey, would you like to get a complimentary market report? So there's another, if they clicked on that, they could do that as well. So now I want to show you a couple things, because well, let's go back and before I jump too far into it, because I want to show you kind of how to share these. I also want to kind of show you how you can manage these, because once you build these, and this is also for your landing pages too, you'll see, as you know, when we go into history, it only gives you a little bit of information, which, if you start building these a lot and you do start using this on social media and sharing a lot, you're going to start getting confused and not remembering, what was the criteria? How did I save this? What did I put in here? So I have a spreadsheet where I will show you that you can make a copy of. It's in the outline that you can click on and make a copy of and then use it for yourself. But what that will let you do is then you can put your notes of what each one of these pages were, what the criteria that you had set up, what the short and the long link were, because some platforms are different. Some social media platforms like the long link, and some of the social media platforms like the short link. So it's nice to have both of those, and also give you all the details in one spot, instead of having to try to go through and try to remember and navigate the history under here. So on the history tab, you'll see everything that you have created under here. And again, if you also are part of a team, you can go in and change your scope to see that as well. But in here, it will again just tell you when it was created, what the name of it, what type, what the area was, what the hashtag, and then you can either view or you can copy the link. So the spreadsheet, and this is the template that I have that we shared in the outline. This one you would want to make sure to make a copy of it, because this is like the master where everybody has access to this. So what you would do is you would click on file, and you would either download it, and then just be careful because you want to make sure that you download it as a Excel or a CSV, so you can usually, so you can work on it and be able to add your content. Or you can also just make a copy of this and then go put this in your drive, and then you have your own version of this. And I'm just going to show you some examples so you can kind of see what I mean by this. So I had created some squeeze pages, and so you'll see these tabs, and this one was just so you could come in, and if you wanted to, you click on this, you could duplicate to make another page, and then you can rename these. When you click on the little arrow, you can go in and rename these pages, and then you can make them your own. And then what you can also do is say, okay, here's the search, here's the hashtag, here's the source. So whether it was Facebook or Google or any other social media platform, if you wanted to add another layer, don't have to, but if you wanted to use the Remax URL shortener so it masks this a little bit more, you could also create that and put that in here. And then here's your short link and here's your long link. And then here's your notes of what was this? What did I create? What was my criteria? Just so then you know. And same thing with, you could do it for your landing page. And also, especially if, let's say, you did have a file. So for Liz, just the example we were showing, we had put her buyer guide into her Google Drive. So here's also the URL link, so she remembers, what that was as well. So again, just a way to keep you organized and also know how to manage these. Now, this is my little test. Nobody has access to this. This is my little Facebook, so I can go in and play with it and see how things work before I actually post, or, somebody else is going to post. So I just wanted to give you some examples. And I actually, in the outline as well, I have some templates that you can use. And what they look like is basically they're in Canva. And I think I shared this link. And if you use Canva, what that means is you could come in here and you could actually change any of this. You could change the photo, and then when you're ready, you could download, and then you could use these images instead. If you don't use Canva, that is okay too. You could always reach out to marketing, and they could also help you create something like this and have some different ones. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because, again, when you go in to share these on your Facebook page, if you don't have an image that you upload, I have some examples here. Here's an example where I came in, I put the comment and I added the link and all the details, but I didn't upload my image. I just embedded this, I just had put the link in. Well, this is where it's pulling this random photo, which you have no control over. And then the other part to that is if and when this property that is displaying here goes under contract, it's going to change that photo to photo coming soon. So again, not favorite because you can't control the photo. If it goes under contract, it's going to say photo coming soon. And it also could be in a totally different area than the one that you're trying to promote. For instance, here we're doing just listed in Windsor. This isn't in Windsor. So that is another piece to it. There's a couple things, and this has been interesting because I was doing a variety of tests, and I've been doing this for a while with some other agents too. Facebook most times likes the long link that you put in versus the short link. But you'll notice, and I feel like sometimes Facebook is just a little glitchy or could be a little, moody sometimes because it did actually take the short link this time. So sometimes you have to play with it. It would be ideal that it would take the shorter link just because I like the way that looks better versus the longer link. It just looks a little bit more messy. A lot of times when this posts though, it usually pushes this up and you don't see the full link, but you have to play with it a little bit. And once you start doing this more, it will make more sense and you'll kind of get in a rhythm and know how this works. So I'm just giving some examples where, just listed. And again, what I did here is I actually uploaded the image. So just example, what I did is I went in and I said, okay, I want to add a comment. And here's another layer that you can use Chat GPT or another AI that you are using. I like to go in and I will go and talk to Chat GPT and I will say, hey, I'm creating a Facebook social media post and it's, listed properties in Windsor. Please give me comment hashtags, emojis, and then it'll just populate it for you. Obviously, you might want to tweak it. It does try to embed it in here, which that does not work with Facebook. So you could definitely copy this, but then you're going to have to go in and change it. Kind of like I did here is, get your free guide. And then I went in and added the actual link. So then it would embed it. So this one, what I did is I clicked on the image and then I went and pulled my image in that I wanted. There's a couple layers to this because like this one is I'm saying, hey, get your buyer's guide. Well, so because this is on Liz's website, this one's a little bit different because we're doing the landing page, which is on Liz's, or, was the link that we were sharing. That's part of what Liz had created for the buyer's guide landing page. What it's actually doing here is it's pulling the background picture that she had in the buyer's guide. So this one's not as terrible, or not as, this one's not bad. But if you were doing the multi property squeeze page, that's when that would play into a little bit more. But what happens is when you post this, it will already kind of show you what that image is. And if you don't like it, then you would go in and go pull your photo, add it before you go in and post it. So it's, the purpose of this again is just another way to capture leads. And this is just a great avenue where, be consistent. Maybe once a week, maybe on Mondays, you always do a what's your home worth, or maybe on Wednesdays, you say what is just listed for different areas. And you could change it every week too if you wanted to do, a different city or a different neighborhood. So it's just really cool. It does give you some different options where you can go in, try to capture leads, and it also gives you additional content to put on your social media platforms too.